Hey everybody, back again. How are we all going? How's the new year going for you? Okay, so last time we talked about taking off that old identity and putting on the new one. And today I thought I wanted to talk about how we become more authentic. Easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? Well, first of all, we have to understand that we're not actually always authentic. So what does authentic even mean? Authentic, when I'm talking about authentic, is having your heart, your head, your body all in alignment. So you're you. You know, there's no front door, back door. It's just you, front and center. Head and heart, body in alignment. You know, you heard that saying, what you see is what you get. You know, it's like there's no hidden agenda. There's no, this is what I'm presenting at the front door, but actually at the back door, there's someone who's completely different. And I think if you think about it, a lot of us were taught to not be us early on. So, you know, we're all taught to be good children, good little boys and girls. And so we were actually taught to not be authentic because our authenticity, our how we were in any given moment was not okay. So if you're angry, maybe you got told, don't you dare be angry with me. If you were sad, oh, for God's sake, stop being such a misery guts, you know. If you were angry, sad, you know, anxious, oh, for goodness sake, don't be silly. You know, if you were scared, oh, there's nothing to be scared about. So can you see very early on, the first 7 years, that's where you've been conditioned and programmed and groomed, and that sets a precedence for the rest of your life. And so if you're struggling to be authentic now, then you've got to look back and go, well, where were you taught that your deep, honest authenticity was not okay? So your emotions, your behaviours became shame-based. So you had to adapt and to be loved, to be safe, to be approved of, to be allowed to stay in the family environment. I had to be a good little girl. So, you know, it's interesting when parents would say to kids, you know, what happens in the home stays in the home. Don't you tell anyone our business. You know, if you know, something that happens here is not to be talked about outside. And back in the day, you know, we wouldn't tell anyone anything. It was like, you know, we knew on some level that we weren't allowed to, or we weren't encouraged. We didn't have the right. I mean, okay, so that doesn't lend to deep authenticity as a grown-up in the now. But we are moving into a new time where we're being called to deep authenticity. And if you think about Christianity or religion, you know, God's watching you. So if you brought up with this fearsome, tyrannical God, it's like, you better behave. So we got conditioned in our childhoods through parenting, through schools, through churches. So be a good little girl, be nice, be kind, say yes, you know, if someone hits you, then turn the other cheek and let them hit you and again. And so that was beaten, drummed, conditioned out of us, our deep authenticity. So that's why a lot of us struggle. A lot of us don't even know how we feel in any given moment. A lot of us don't know what's really happening inside because we were taught to not be that, to reject it, deny it, repress it. And it's in the dungeon a lot of the time. You know, we put these feelings, this truth about what we feel or who we are in those moments, you know, underground. But they're all starting to come up now. And so a deep authenticity is about just knowing your truth, knowing how you actually feel, and knowing thyself. And I often think about, you know, when you watch comedians, I know this is going off on a tangent, but, you know, like Michael McIntyre, and he is hilarious. And if you ever listen to him talk about, he just talks about life. He talks about being a parent, and he says it as it is. And we all laugh because we know what he's saying is true, but he has the courage, or maybe that's his gift, to actually share, oh my goodness, you know, these kids, and everyone says, oh, it's such a wonderful thing having kids, and oh, they're such a pleasure and they're such a gift, and we're all taught to do that. You know, we never talk negatively, but actually being a parent's frigging hard work, and it's awful sometimes. And sometimes we don't like our kids, and sometimes we don't love them. Sometimes we just want to chuck them out the window. And it's funny how we find that sort of very authentic, honest, quite endearing. We love that. We laugh about it. Now, I don't know about you, but it's really hard not to like someone who's deeply authentic. It's almost like people that are so confident maybe, or so at ease within themselves, that they just are who they are in any given moment, good, bad and ugly. They're not trying to impress anyone. They're just happy within themselves, but also they're just very upfront. You kind of know what you're going to get. People, there's no hidden door. And this is why a lot of people, we can't trust really nice people that always say yes, people, because we can't trust them. Because maybe on the front they go, oh yeah, because that's what they were taught, be nice, yes, say yes. But behind the doors, it's like they don't really want to do that. I mean, I've talked about this a lot in other videos where, you know, you say yes, but actually you mean no, you betray yourself and then you betray everybody else. So deep authenticity is that inner connection, that inner alignment with self. And can I just be, without playing blame games and blaming everyone around me and becoming a victim. So I'm honestly, I really feel the way I feel. I'm honestly feeling this way, not expecting anyone to fix us, not trying to manipulate anyone, but just being upfront and honest and, you know, saying it as it is, like I'm really struggling right now. You see, you can only connect to people's vulnerability. You know, people that go, oh yeah, I'm fine and everything's dandy and life's great. But you know that, you know, things aren't always dandy and great. But for whatever reason, they think, oh no, I don't want to burden anyone with it. And sometimes it is because we don't want to be a burden, or we don't want to be a negative Nelly. But I think people's authenticity, if they keep saying it over and over again, if they say the same things over and over again, and the nice thing about being a therapist is when people come in and talk about this stuff, we can really talk about it, not so they can stay there, but so they can really breathe into that space where they feel deeply hurt, deeply wounded. And so we can heal it so they don't have to stay in that place. And so it's so refreshing when you just hear somebody's heart and you know exactly what's going on. You don't have to guess. And this is when, you know, people go, oh, there's something about someone's behaviour that just doesn't sit right with them. And that's probably because the front door looks very different to the back door. And you know what I mean when I say that is they project this persona, but actually, you know, I'm all lovely and I'm sweet and I say yes to everything and oh yeah, I really care about you. And then in the back door, it's like, oh my goodness, it's a whole different story. And so being deeply authentic is about owning it without projecting it, because that's what we do. What we don't connect, we project. Can I own the way I feel about something? Can I be honest with someone as a way of moving through it, not so I can just keep repeating it over and over again? Because we all know people that will just tell you the same negative story over and over again. And this kind of ties into maybe, are you addicted to your negative emotions? Because it's people will create drama so they can get that rush of the hormones, like stress hormones, cortisol, because they're actually addicted to those negative emotions. And a lot of people will create drama because they only actually feel comfortable in those states because that's what they've been living in most of their life. That feels normal. That feels like home to them. That's their homeostasis. And so, and when you start to get better and heal, you realize that actually feeling calm and safe and relaxed can actually feel blah and boring, and that's why people can be addicted to their drama. So being authentic, what does that actually mean? What does it look like? I'll tell you what it means like for me, because I don't know what it means like for you. You have to figure it out for yourself. You have to learn and know thyself. So for me, to be authentic is to allow myself to feel whatever I'm feeling without letting it work out of me or run the show. So I'm taking responsibility for my body. So if I've got a bad back, then I have to take responsibility for that and maybe deal with it best I can. Be with the uncomfortability, maybe take some pills, maybe not overdo it, maybe go to the physio, maybe go for a massage. So I'm taking responsibility for my body, yeah? So if I have an emotion, I have to take responsibility for that. I can't just repress, deny and avoid it and think it will go away. That's not taking responsibility. That's not owning it. That's neglecting it. This is something maybe what we happened when we grew up. If I went to a parent with an emotion and they went, get away from here, don't be ridiculous, don't be silly, grow up, and you know all this stuff that we were told, no, you don't feel that way, and so repress, deny and avoid. So it's about, okay, so how do I feel? Well, I actually feel angry. Okay, well, let me think about that. Let me come into my head and use this wonderful brain of mine to work out what's really going on, because I can point the finger at you, you made me angry, you did this or you didn't do that, that's victim. Or I can take responsibility, own it, understand it, learn all I can about it. Not so it can run the show, because we don't want it running the show. We do not want anger running the show, because anger wants to shout, scream and carry on like a pork chop, and maybe throw things around and punches, for example. No. The anger's not going to run the show, because I might end up in prison or dead or whatever. So it's about owning, knowing, taking responsibility, coming through for this part of me. And only you can do that. I don't know how you're feeling. I don't know what you're thinking. This is the work we all get to do. We get to do it. Isn't that amazing? We get to do it. We come to the planet to have these human being experiences so we can learn about ourselves and then learn to treat ourselves with perhaps kindness and love, compassion, surrender to the what is, understanding you, the good, the bad, the ugly. You know, so me, I can be very kind and I can be very caring, but kindness and caring taken too far is not good. If I'm too kind, it might make me look weak and passive and people walk all over me. If I'm too compassionate, well, that might mean I want to control everybody else's experience because I don't want them to feel the pain that they might be going through. So any good thing can be taken too far, just like any negative. So I can be stubborn. But stubbornness actually isn't a bad thing, because stubbornness made me not give up. It's determination, it's tenacity. It can be a stickability. You know, I studied for years and years. Now, you have to have a little bit of stubborn determination to do that. And so every word can be a good and a bad thing, and it all can be taken too far. And the gift of kindness becomes a curse. Stubbornness taken too far becomes prideful, arrogant, pig-headed, immovable, closed down. And so all of me is okay. And I am the one that has to learn about all of me. The good, the bad. I call it that, but it's all good. You're all good. So the anxious part of you, the scared part of you, me, I had an angry part of me that I repressed and denied, and then guess what? She came out sideways with all this energy behind it, and she reacted and carried on like a pork chop. I hated her, and no one else really liked her either, because she was scary. And so as I learned to be more compassionate and own these aspects of myself and bring them in to home, back home to me, and take responsibility, learn to listen to them, because my anger had a lot of interesting information. I was angry because maybe I was saying yes when I meant no. I wasn't backing myself. I was betraying myself. I was letting people take advantage or walk all over me. I didn't have healthy boundaries. And so, yeah, I was angry at myself generally, but when you're in the victim stance, oh, well, it's, you know, if you hadn't asked me, it's your fault, and that's you being powerless and giving your power away. So come back to you, come back to you. Okay, know thyself. Take responsibility for thyself. Listen to yourself. Try and understand yourself. Know yourself. all of the aspects of you. Because if you reject one aspect, you reject all of it. You can't just do that. You can't just reject one. Oh, well, I love all the parts of me, bar this angry part. Because the anger is part of me. And it will come out sideways if I try and repress it. So, okay, listen to it. Understand it. Hold it. Be intimate with it. Kind of have some love and compassion for it. It's just my way of coping. Just like your anxious part is, just like your fearful part is. So to be more authentic is to come into the kind of center, heart, head, body, mind, soul. It's all of that. So when I'm, it's all in alignment. I say what I mean what I say, I do what I say, I follow through, I commit to myself and others, I become dependable, reliable, I can trust myself. I can trust that I'm not going to put myself in situations that I'm going to struggle to be in or get out of. I'm not going to say yes when I mean no. And you have to be courageous, because if you've been brought up to be a chronic people pleaser, a perfectionist, because of trauma, then you're going to struggle because you're going to feel guilty, and that guilt then runs the show. That's toxic guilt. We've talked about that. So being deeply authentic, letting go of needing the approval of others, realizing you developed other esteem. You know, I'm only okay if you say I am. I'm only safe if you create a safe space for me. Giving your power away, come back to you, come back to you. Hold yourself gently. You create the safe space for you. You're the hero in your own life. Because if you don't come through for you, no one is. No one is. No one's coming. And I think it can be triggering for people because they have this idea, well, if mum and dad couldn't love me or didn't love me, then who can? So obviously I'm unlovable. And it's about grieving the fact that maybe these people couldn't or didn't love you, not because you weren't lovable, because they weren't capable. And you have to wake up to the fact that maybe your parents weren't capable of loving you because of the way they were taught and they were treated and their parents. And that's okay. Yeah, it didn't work for you. But if you want things to change, you have to come back to the now and be in the now and work with now. And so, yes, it's about understanding how some of that past stuff left you and then realizing that you can deal with it in the now. It's not all about looking back. That's just gives you some kind of understanding and a platform for helping you. Oh, okay, that's why I'm getting triggered now. I'm getting triggered now because of what that taught me about me. I'm not important. I had something happen the other day. I was in meditation, and I had this little voice come up, not out of my head, it came from down this side of me. It came up and it said to me, which I thought was very interesting, it said, "You don't think very highly of yourself, do you?" And I've got to say, it really took me back. I'd never even thought that. It'd never come into my thinking. But you know, the more I kind of allowed that thought to just roll through me, I was like, that voice, wherever it came from, it was right. I didn't actually think very highly of myself. I actually think very highly of everybody else. There's lots of people that I think very highly of. And I really kind of was like, wow, where did that come from? And to be fair, it might have come from the way I was brought up, you know, not to think well of myself. When people don't come through for you, just think you're unimportant and you don't matter. But it didn't matter. How could I work with that in the now? How could I help myself think more highly of myself, if that's the case, if I don't think highly of myself? Because I could really resonate with those words. I didn't actually think that highly of myself. I've done a lot of work and I've come a long way, but I'm not sure if I actually think that highly of myself sometimes. So I rewired it in. I said to myself, I choose to believe that it's safe for me to think highly of myself. Because I think the fear is, well, if I do think highly of myself, what would that mean? Who would I become? How would that impact on me? And I mean, I don't want to be someone who's, because I really don't like arrogant people. I mean, you know, you notice just they think they know it all, and they think, you know, it's really unattractive when someone's really arrogant, and I'm sure there's a part of me that is like that. Maybe it's a hidden part of me. And so maybe that's the fear of, oh, okay, well, I don't want to think highly of myself because I don't want to be like that person, because I really maybe judge people that are really arrogant. So this is great for me. I love it when something comes into my awareness that I wasn't actually aware of. And so I've been rewiring in, I choose to believe it's safe for me to think highly of myself. And I must admit, I feel different. It hasn't made any difference in terms of, I don't think I'm any more arrogant or any less arrogant if I am arrogant. Because I'm sure some people might look at me and think I am arrogant. And so maybe that was my hidden work, my shadow self, and that's why I judged it in others, because there was a part of me that maybe is arrogant, that does act arrogantly. And so now I realize I was trying to not think highly of myself. It was coming out sideways. Whereas now, if I can say, actually, it's okay, it's safe for me, because I get to choose. If I'm just acting arrogantly, then there's no choice in that. I'm not becoming, there's no agency, there's no self-efficacy, because we get to choose who we are. So if I'm just acting arrogantly, I'm probably in denial of that because it's in my shadow. Whereas now it's been revealed that, well, maybe I can be arrogant. And it has changed me. It has. I feel different because since I've been rewiring, it's safe for me to choose to think highly of myself. I find I'm not as opinionated. I was having a conversation with someone the other day who obviously thinks very differently to me. And in the past, I might have gone, no, this is the way it is. And I just sat there and I just let them have their voice and speak their truth as they see it. And I didn't feel any need to speak into that and go, no, it's not like that, it's like this. And so this is what fascinates me. It doesn't matter how old you get, it doesn't matter how much you do this work. There's these layers that just kind of reveal themselves when they're good and ready in their own time. And if you're just aware and you bring that awareness into you, and really I've only just thought that process through as I'm sharing it with you, that, yeah, I didn't think highly of myself, maybe because I judged arrogant and I was afraid of being arrogant, but maybe I did act arrogantly. I love that because to live life from an empowered stance, having self-efficacy and agency and living life on your terms is about knowing thyself. Well, if I didn't know that about myself, well, now I do. So I learned another aspect of myself and I recovered it and engaged with it and surrendered to it. Anyway, so there's me being really authentic about something that happened very recently. Only a couple of weeks ago that happened to me. I had this little voice say, well, you don't think very highly of yourself. Isn't that interesting? I love this. I love it. I love helping people. I love waking up to myself. I love sharing it with you. And you might think I'm nuts, but you know what? I'm never going to give up. I'm never going to stop. I'm just going to keep going and sharing my truth and sharing what I've learned through my journey of recovery and realizing we're all recovering. Or do you want to call it recovery? I'm just sharing my honest, authentic self. And if you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to watch this or understand it or like it or want it. Turn it off. Go find someone that you do. But for those of you that are watching, bless you. Thank you. If this has resonated with you, please don't hesitate. I do one-on-ones. I love doing my one-on-one. That's where we get really dark and deep. And knowing that I'm on this journey with you, I'm not better than you. We're all kind of on a level playing field here. And maybe I've done a bit of work and maybe I can see how to navigate where you're at. That's all. And that's all I bring. But I bring all of me and I really love what I do. So thank you for listening. I'll stop talking now. Thank you. Take care. Bye for now. See you next time. Bye.